fucking knew this bitch had magic. Hello, bookish baddies, and welcome back to Bookish Chaos. I'm Shay, and today we are talking about Serpent, the Serpent and the Wings of Night. The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. We start in the prologue with a human girl who's not like other human girls. But I do like that she has black hair, but obviously because she's special, she has gray eyes. Three creepy winged dudes land and smile at her all creepily, and I was like, are these child molesters? So these three creepy winged dudes land, and I was like, and they like pick her up and she bites them, and I was like, and they're being super creepy. They're saying really inappropriate things, and I was like, child molesters, question mark? Nope, just kidding. They're vampires. They're not going to sexually assault her. They're going to eat her. But then the Hiaj king lands and saves her. She also bites him, and he calls her his little serpent. So, important things to know. We are in the House of Night Kingdom. It holds two types of vampires, the Hiaj, and they have thin membrane wings. They are also the ruling house. The king is Hiaj, and there's also the Rishon people who have feathered, thicker wings, and they are currently the outcast sect of the House of Night. So, part one, she is older now, and she is following a vampire through the human district and stalking him to kill him. She slashes his wings so he can't fly away and ends him, and then she heads home to the king, aka Daddy, but not until page 11 do we learn that our female main character's name is Aurea. She is in the servants' quarters with a lady named Ilana, and she's like an older seamstress lady, and she is human. She notices that Ilana is covered in bandages, which means that she is a voluntary feeder, letting vamps feed for pay. While they have no qualms about taking humans as they please, you can make money if you are a voluntary feeder. We learn about a thing called the Kajari, and I wrote a tournament, question mark. And they're talking about a man named Vincent, who at this point I was like, so the Hiaj king. Ilana accuses Vincent of making her do something and says that she doesn't want... I did some of this in voice to text and it was really confusing. She doesn't want Aurea to change. She wants her to stay human because at this point we're like, she's a little human girl. And she knows that Aurea is going to compete in the Kajari, but she's like, he's making you do this. You need to leave. The city that we are in is called Sivaraj. There's also a House of Shadow vampires across the Ivory Sea. Someone knocks on Aurea's door when she's back in her room, and it's Vincent. He is stressing about something. The House of Blood is brought up, so we have the House of Night, the House of Blood, and the House of Shadow vampires. Vincent is here for their daily fight training. He's like, all vampires are going to be drawn to you because your blood is special, but Vincent, for some reason, has never had a problem being around her blood. So they're in the training room is soft ivory sand replaced from the dunes every week. And I wrote, I hope by magic and not by slave humans carting in tons and tons of sand from the dunes every week to swap it out. Tells her to be ready for the Kajari at any time. The Kajari is held by the mother of the night, shadow, and blood, mother of all vamps, who could call it any time. We learn that her name is Nyaxia. There can only be one winner of the Kajari, and the winner gets a gift from Nyaxia. She is a goddess, essentially. She notes that Vincent looks sickly, and I wrote that has to be a clue for something later. He takes her to dinner, which is a room full of vampires and no actual food, so they can check out her opponents, and he can give her knowledge of any of them that he has any kind of knowledge about. To enter the tournament, you do a ritual that requires you to sacrifice blood to the mother, Nyaxia. So they are walking around doting bandages on people. I wrote, but I'm sorry, no special quick healing for the vampires, question mark. He's trying to give her an edge, so if he knows something about them or their weaknesses, that's what this is for. We meet some bitch named Jessamine. I wrote, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. She is his newly appointed member of the head of the guard. Jessamine sniffs at Aurea, who pulls her knife in defense, and Vincent steps in between them and sends Aurea away from them. While she's on her own, she sees a dude across the hall from her staring at a painting, which is the only painting remaining in the House of in the House of Night castle. That is still Rishon artwork. It is of a Rishon vampire, because when Vincent won his Kajari 200 years ago and became the head, he destroyed everything that was Rishon. He requested that the Rishon head of power essentially be locked away. so that no Rishon heir could ever gain full Rishon power. And this man is staring at this one Rishon painting, and he's obviously the love interest of the book. We get a really big description about him, paragraphs of description. I pulled some from it. His gaze was casually curious, still the intensity of it skewers me. His eyes are rust red, his hair dark red, and all I can see are the shades from the Inheritance series. This guy, because they're supposed to have like red eyes and like fiery red hair. At this point, I was leaning towards this love interest being Rishon because the painting he's staring at is an old Rishon painting that was left when the Hiyaj started ruling again. The power balance shifts often, and then when the new king comes in, they change the castle for their people. But Vincent, for some reason, left this one painting. After this, she still needs to offer herself to the Kajari, so Vincent helps her do that. If she wins the Kajari, her wish from the goddess Nyaxia is to evoke Vincent's Coriate, a bond. It's a bond that bonds her to Vincent, and it can turn her without the risk of death. The thing that we don't learn until the end of this book is that being a Coriate means you can never stand against them. She can never stand against him, ever. It's I don't really know what to compare it to. Oh yes, it would bind their souls and merge their powers, his becoming hers and hers becoming his. And in this, she says it's a testament to his love for me that he's willing to offer me this gift at all. And I wrote, bitch, he is sus. You have some kind of hidden power he knows about, and he wants it, and killed your parents to take you. And I wrote, so that is my prediction, and this is only chapter 1. She has a nightmare before this life with Vincent, and she wakes feeling very weird, and she realizes the Kajari has started. She is back to being her small self. Vincent rarely let her leave her room when she was little. He tells her, I would never hurt you, but you are not safe in these walls from anybody else. He also told her, I will teach you to wield those little teeth of yours. So, the Kajari has started. She is now in the Moon Palace. The Moon Palace solely exists for this competition. It is Nyaxia's place of domain. She realizes they're all awake, and thinks that the magic that had been cast on them may have lowered inhibitions, and the vampires sounded abnormally animalistic, even by the standards of bloodthirst. So she is a human and has no night sight, so she tries to call light to her fingertips, and I wrote, I fucking knew this bitch had magic. She looks for her dagger, cuts herself, but now she's bleeding in a secluded castle full of vampires. And the Moon Palace is apparently magic. And I was like, House, is that you from A Court of Silver Flames? Here's a new scream as she's making her way, and she realizes that it's Ilana, her human old lady friend from the palace. While she was with Ilana earlier in the book, she gave her a scarf. She gave her a scarf. She finds Ilana, and she's dead. She's been murdered by one of the vampires. A man stops her and tells her they're all dead, and then he curses Ix's fucking tits because she stabs him in the leg. And I wrote, I love a god or goddess curse like Eloa's balls or Nama's tits from Kushiel's dart. I love when you throw like a new curse in there. So Ix's tits, or in this case, Ix's fucking tits. I love it. So she can't see who this man is that appeared behind her, but she knows he's a vampire. So she, after stabbing him, stumbles away from him. And bam, she's in a greenhouse. Luckily, it's almost dawn, so nobody comes after her because the vampires obviously can't be in the sun. This is a world where the vampires burst into flames and die if they step into the sun. So later, she heads back into the palace and finds Ilana's body. She compares it to a deer who's been ripped to pieces by wolves. And vampire was left in the room, and he's very weak, and she kills him too. And she takes Ilana's body, and she burns it on a balcony. A thread of shadow appears, along with 3 music notes. She follows the shadows, and they are all followed where they are summoned. Most of the 50 contestants in the Kajari are House of Night, Hiyaj, and Rishon. 10 from the House of Blood, 15 from the House of Shadows. A maester, it's spelled really weird, like a priest. Says he has overseen 21 Kajaris, and he is 2,000 years old. He says Nyaxia will provide for them as she sees fit. Spilling of blood within the Moon Palace is not permitted except for you may defend yourself against aggressors. However, the goddess appreciates the gift of blood within her trials. So she would prefer they kill each other during their trials, not in her house. At the feast, a dude is pacing around looking for someone, and it's like, they killed my brother. And it turns out it's the vampire dude that she killed. He's rampaging, but someone distracts him. A Rishon, and surprise, he's the vampire from the ball that she noticed. The one who looks like the shades from Aragon. And he's the one who she stabbed in the beginning. So in chapter 8, she's still in the greenhouse for safety. She sneaks out to see Vincent. He gives her blades special weapons that are poisoned. And I love that. So she has to rush back because he's like, it's almost dawn. And if they are out of the palace when dawn appears, not only A, do the vampires die, but you are basically forfeited from the Kajari. She barely makes it back into the palace, turns a corner, and slams right into Rain. And Rain is our redheaded dude. And he looks at her and says, are those new? Looking at her blades. And he's like, thank the mother you didn't have those last night. And he asks where she was. And he says, I know where you were. You were visiting the Nightborn King. And he says, that's you, isn't it? His human. He cocks his head. You're very famous, you know, even in the Borderlands. A real curiosity. He's like, bitch, I saved your life. You stabbed me. And oh, yeah, you should apologize. She threatens him. And then he says, I'm sorry I didn't aim. And then says, I'm sorry I didn't aim higher. They banter. He asks again how high, and she makes a dramatic show of looking him up and down and then lingering at his thigh and then trailing up to the crotch of his leather pants. And she says, a little. And then she ducks under his arm and runs off. So then time for the half moon trial. The palace disappears. Bright light. They're in a coliseum with thousands of spectators. And bam, demons are there attacking everyone. They're stuck in separate domes and with a few others. So there's multiple domes and a set amount of participants are inside of the domes. And of course, Rain is in her dome. The demon comes after her. She realizes the bloodborne contestant is using his magic to have it follow her blood. It gets really intense. I'm not going to go through all of that. She is being attacked, and she realizes that Rain's friend is wielding fire. Fire magic is the domain of Atticus, the sun god. It has nothing to do with Nyaxia, the goddess of vampires. It's like a human trait. He motions for his friend to kill it, and then they head back into the palace. She sneaks into the greenhouse. Vincent's potion will help with one of her wounds. She hears a voice, and it's Rain. Her mind wanders. She thinks the memory was as sharp as ever, of lips on my throat, a kiss deepening to a nip, deepening to a vicious stab of pain. And Rain notices that she went somewhere in her mind, and he's like, here is a healing potion. They have more banter. She asks what he wants, and he's like, we should ally. He's like, me and Misha, my friend, have claimed an entire apartment. You would be safer with us than in this greenhouse. Eventually someone is going to brave this greenhouse to take you out. She's like, why do you want to ally with me? And he's like, you impress me and I like an underdog. And she thinks he wants to get close to her to get close to Vincent. He promises until the half moon no harm will come to her. But she hears Vincent's voice in her head from 16 years ago. I am the only person who will ever make that promise and keep it, meaning not to hurt her. And I wrote, she is being so manipulated by him, but it's hard to tell when you're being manipulated by a parent. Rain goes to leave, and he's like, we'll be in the top of the Eastern Tower if you change your mind. So I don't want this to be a really long video. I have a ton more notes on this. I did take notes as I was reading it, but I don't really want this to be a deep dive video. So we're just going to fast forward. She does end up going to the tower and becomes really good friends with Misha and allies with Rain. And they spend a lot of time together. Her and Rain start to train physically together. He follows her one night when she goes into the local human district to go kill vampires. And he's like, we could use this as a way to train. And so they do. They start hunting vampires together to train. And they get really good. They're like one mind. So the next trial happens. Everything's fine. The next trial, the third trial, is a mind melding trial where they take this potion and their minds connect in a way that makes it really hard for other people, because she's like seeing through Rain's eyes and Rain's seeing through her eyes, but they have to be able to control their own bodies. And it works really well because they have been training for so long that they can they know what the other one's going to do. Without thinking about it. It's just automatic and initial, and it happens. And then Misha gets really injured in a later attack. Before that trial where they're mind melded together. Demons are set loose in the house, and Misha, she tries to call upon the god Atticus, and he abandons her essentially. Like, he's a god for humans. He's not going to be okay with vampires forever. And Misha's she's not physically well enough to be able to compete anymore, so Rhea goes to the head minister person for Nyaxia and begs him to release her from the Kajari, and he's like, what are you going to give me for it? And she ends up giving him some of her blood, and he's really gross. It's really gross. It's like this situation is like a metaphor for like a skeezy dude. He's full skis. It's But Misha is released. They have that competition. Rain goes to visit Misha on like an off day, and an off night, I should say, not daytime. He can't go out in daytime, he dies. And Misha's doing really good, but she's with people that don't like Araya because they know who Araya is. They know that she is the Nightborn King's human. A lot of people call her Vincent's whore and all kinds of things, even though he raised her as a daughter, but nobody cares about that. It continues, and she realizes that she's falling in love with Rain, and Rain is falling in love with her, and they have a moment, and it's glorious, and it's wonderful. And then right before the last trial, Nyaxia stops providing food. Well, I should say the house stops providing food for the human, singular, and also for the vampires. And her and Rain get into this huge fight because he's like, you think that I would attack you just because I'm out of blood? I have more control than that. What do you think about me if you think that I would do that? And it's a whole big thing. And so then the final battle of the Kajari happens, and she wins. And when she wins, Rain dies. And the mother Nyaxia appears before her, and she is like, I wish that Rain had won the Kajari. And before Rain died, she had noticed him like look up at the spectators, at someone up in the spectator stand. So Nyaxia grants her wish, and Rain is back to life. And Rain, he looks up and he's like, what is happening? And Nyaxia says, you, my child, are now the winner of the Kajari. What would you like? And he said, which I didn't really see coming, and I'm surprised that I didn't. He says, I wish for the Rishon power to be returned and given to the rightful heir, me. And she says, as you wish. And Araya's like, you betrayed me? What the fuck? And then he kills Vincent. He tells her, look away, as he kills her father, who I thought was going to be the big bad of the whole series. I was like, there's no way that Vincent's not the big bad. Nope, Vincent's not the big bad. Because he told her his story, how he had been a human and he had been captured by a vampire and made a vampire slave. Essentially, he left out the part that the person who captured him and made him a vampire slave was the king of the Rishon. So when he went ballistic and murdered a bunch of people, Rain, to escape, he essentially became the heir. When Vincent kills the Rishon king, the air mark, because they all have air marks, appeared on his back. And so he had had someone cut up his back so you couldn't see the air mark on his back until he becomes the new Rishon king and kills Vincent. And when he kills Vincent, Araya feels weird. She feels really weird. And everybody is shocked in the arena. And the air mark that used to be on Vincent right here appears on Araya. And all of Rain's people are like, we need to kill her right now. And Rain is like, nope, I'm going to take her as my wife. I am going to use her to my will. And we will crush the Hiaj via the new heir who will be my wife. So she gets locked away. And while she's locked away, he's like, I had to say that to keep you safe. I'm not bad. I love you. We are meant to be together. But I had to do what I had to do because Vincent was a monster. And he's not wrong. If you read the book, you learn just how monstrous Vincent is. Vincent was not a good person. And she does end up against her will marrying him. He gives her, while they're having their marriage vows, part of it is vowing your heart to them. And she's like, I will not do that. And he's like, it's fine. Her heart can be her own, blah, 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 blah. I don't necessarily think that Rain's a bad dude, but he did some fucked up shit. And the book ends pretty like Jessamine appears outside the window, wings a flapping, and she's like, are you here to save me? And Jessamine's like, no, I don't want to get fried because there's like a force field on the window. She's like, I'm here to let you know that I was not loyal to Vincent. I am loyal to the Hiaj king, to the Hiaj themselves. You are the heir. I am loyal to you. Anything you want, I am here for you. She's like, me and the rest of the Hiaj who managed to survive that had been in the dome or in the Colosseum, we are hiding. We will be hiding. We will be awaiting your orders. And basically then the book ends. The writing was not great. I did quite enjoy the story. I do enjoy the dynamics between Araya and Rain, and their banter is really good. I love really good banter. I can look past really bad writing for really good banter. It's just, am I going to read the second book? I don't know. I don't know that I loved it enough to read the second book. It took me a really long time to finish this. I had to duo read it with my eyeballs in, listening to it. It wasn't bad, but I didn't love it like I did Fourth Wing. It didn't make me want to stay in the world at all. The writing's not amazing like V.E. Schwab's. writing is amazing. It's mid. It's a mid book. That's all I got for you. If you would like me to do a deeper dive into this book, I can. Go ahead and leave a comment about that. If you've read Serpent in the Wings of Night, go ahead and leave a comment. Let's talk about it in the comments. Make sure that you like this video, share it to all of your friends, and subscribe to the channel. If you don't subscribe to the channel, you are just a bookish person. If you would like to be a bookish baddie, subscribe to the channel, and we can be friends, and you can be a bookish baddie. All right, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.